Books tell you where to start and where to finish, but that's not the whole story. What are you made of? What's your epic finish?
Here's what's coming up on the First Take podcast. The Seahawks beat the Lions after a controversial call. We'll react to the Monday Night Madness. Plus, will CeCe Sabathia's absence impact the Yankees into the playoffs? And Panthers cornerback Charles Tillman joins us in studio. Lots to cover. Let's get right to it.
The Seahawks and the Lions from the Great Northwest next on Monday Night Football. Wilson with 24 takes a shot out for the touchdown. The ball away from away. What's the football again? It's picked up. And the big man running his read. Stafford complete. Calvin Johnson to the end zone, fumbles it. And it goes out of bounds. It'll be a touchback. Project football. He comes down the line. I just ran to the ball, and it's never over until he crossed that end zone. So I punched at it.
And the play can't make was just extraordinary.
Looks to be a significant error.
That's an illegal back. Rule 12-4-1.
I have heard about that. Doesn't make me feel much better right now.
It would go back to Detroit. It's a 10-yard penalty, but here it would be half a distance to the goal.
At the end of the day, you can't leave the referee's hands.
No, we lost.
No matter how we lost, we lost.
Oh, never a dull moment in the National Football League. Hello and welcome into First Take. Appreciate you joining us alongside Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, both in the house today, which is wonderful. I'm Molly Kerman. Charles Peanut Tillman will join us at the desk later on. Good morning, gentlemen.
How you doing? I told him I couldn't do the handshake because I'm still sick.
We appreciate that.
That's right.
We'll get you a little sanitizer.
You came off as anything but sick during yesterday's show.
Oh, yeah.
I did what I had to do.
You did it.
Brought it.
We do appreciate it.
Point made. Yes, for sure. All right, let's get right into that controversial call at the end of Monday Night Football in Seattle where the Seahawks get a 3-point victory over the Lions. This is how the illegal bat rule works. It is an illegal bat if a player of either team bats or punches a loose ball that has touched the ground in any direction if it is in either end zone. It's a penalty if the foul was by the defense. It is an automatic first down. The penalty is not reviewable because it is a judgment call similar to pass interference. So another crazy ending, Skip, for the Seahawks.
Yep.
How bad is this for the NFL?
Stephen A. Smith and Molly, this was so bad to me when I saw it late last night that I immediately tweeted that for the NFL and for the Lions and their fans, this will be remembered as the bat out of hell play. And I'm going to stick with that today because after I slept on it, it's even worse than I first thought that it was. This is a terrible look for the NFL because remember, the Fail Mary play that happened in the same end zone, remember that?
Yeah.
Of course, was thanks to replacement refs. This was a real referee, and I'm going to use his name because we rarely call him out by name, named Greg Wilson, 8th-year veteran. back judge with a perfect view of this play. Am I right? He's looking right down the line. He's got it nailed. So, either number one, he decided on the spur of the moment that this wasn't a blatant enough tap out of bounds to warrant a game-deciding flag. Or number two, I'm just going to throw this out because it happens. They're human. Number two, Greg Wilson might have been slightly intimidated enough by the crazy crowd called the 12s, that is Seattle's crowd, that he started to go for it, flinched, and thought, I don't know if I can get away with that here in front of this crowd on this stage on Monday Night Football. Okay. Or number three, it's just possible that he didn't know or didn't remember a very obscure rule that rarely comes into play this way in this circumstance at this part of the field, which happened to be the end zone. But here's why Greg Wilson had to throw that flag. The ball, if you see on the replay, was bouncing slightly backward. It's an oblong ball. It takes odd bounces, as we know. So the trajectory is slightly backward toward KJ Wright as he runs toward it and then taps it out of bounds. That's a big advantage to Seattle because, bear with me on this, what if he allows the ball to fall and bounce again? It could have bounced back into the end zone. And I'm going to remind everybody, it's a live football. It would be possible, it could even be probable, that somebody on the Lions would recover it in the end zone for a touchdown. That would certainly decide the game because Calvin Johnson almost did before Cam Chancellor, we'll talk about this in a minute, made a terrific, great play to knock it out of his hands. So the point here is the rule is in place to prevent exactly what KJ Wright got away with doing. He didn't have to slug it out of bounds. He just tapped it out of bounds. That saved him from having to actually jump on the ball and recover it like a hand grenade in the end zone, right, to fall on top of it before a bunch of Lions fell on top of it. Now, the two people I do blame the Detroit coaching staff, not just Jim Caldwell, but all the ones up in the press box. They should have raised holy heck immediately. They should have all thrown fits. You got to throw that flag at least to remind the head ref, Tony Correnti, and the other ones to look around and say, wait a second, maybe they should have, even though you can't review it because it's a judgment call, maybe they should at least get together at that point, but it would have to be sparked by the Detroit coaches to have a conference to say, did we get that right? Should we have looked at this a little differently? But in the end, I blame this referee for blowing this game that could have sent Seattle all the way down to 1-3 and sent them on their way to Cincinnati next Sunday. 4-0 Cincinnati at 1-3. I think this referee, whether he didn't mean to, obviously, it wasn't intentional, he saved Seattle's season.
Let me say this to you, Skip Bayless. Absolutely correct on the call. No question about it. I totally agree with you. It was a blown call on the part of the referee. You've got Rule 12, Section 4, Article 1 of the 2015 Rule Book, NFL Rule Book. It specifically states it is an illegal bat if A, any player bats or punches a loose ball in the field of play towards his opponent's goal line, which didn't apply here because it was in the end zone already, or B, any player bats or punches a loose ball that has touched the ground in any direction if it is an either end zone, which is applicable here.
It is.
The fact is, the rule states it clearly. It was in clear violation by KJ Wright. It should have been called. The Detroit Lions should have had the ball on their half-yard line in position to win the game. No question about it. But I put an equal amount of onus because I do understand a human error is a part of the game.
All right.
But when you have Jim Caldwell and his entire coaching staff failing to raise holy hell and forcing the officials to literally mingle with one another, just get together and say, okay, let's look at this. Let's make sure of this here and discuss it. Even if it's obviously at the discretion of the official and it's not deemed quote unquote reviewable, the fact is you could get together, you could huddle together and make the correction because somebody can remind you of the rule that's in place. You're the back judge, you're supposed to know it. But somebody next to you or somebody in the vicinity may have known it and may have said, look, this is the rule. Boom. But if you have no insistence on the part of the visiting team and no one is raising holy hell, then that doesn't happen. Jim Caldwell, listen, despite the fact that Detroit is 0-4, They played hard most of this season. They've been highly competitive most of this season, okay? So obviously, with Ndamukong Suh being gone, the mystique of the team, and you clearly have lost something there. They are fighting. They are competing. And I give them a lot of credit. This is one of those instances where, dare I say, the personality of Jim Caldwell actually worked against him. You know how they say Joe Cool? Well, he's Jim Cool. And being Jim Cool and not being somebody who raises holy hell. Maybe that played a role in the officials feeling it relatively easy to shove him aside and say, this is our call, and that is it. And, you know, from a basketball perspective, Skip, I remember years ago when Michael Jordan had retired, and Scottie Pippen and them came to Madison Square Garden, and the infamous Hugh Holland, bogus call in favor of Hugh Davis. And Phil, it's hard to imagine he's got bad hips, and he can't even be on the side because that day he jumped up and down and was spinning around and going crazy. Like, I can't believe how awful this call is. Guess what? To this very day, Skip, I am of the belief, as awful as that call was, if Phil Jackson didn't jump around hooting and hollering over how bogus that call was, I don't think we would remember it nearly as much as we do to this very day. It was because of his reaction. And I bring that up to juxtapose it to Jim Caldwell, and you're looking for fire and brimstone. This is a game on the line here. How the hell do you make this call? No, raise holy hell. And he didn't do it. But in the end, here's what it comes down to more importantly. The officials, the coaches for Detroit, obviously all played a role, but the person who played the biggest role is a guy we once knew as Megatron. Because you can't lose that ball. Well, that's a whole other issue. Yeah, but that's true. You can't lose that ball in that particular situation. And that it's the combination of all three things that lead us to this. Okay, quick thought on that since you raised the issue. Do you blame Calvin or do you credit Cam for that play? I credit Cam. I credit Cam more than I blame Calvin. But I guess the reason why I'm blaming Calvin to some degree, Skip, is because it was a relatively pedestrian performance by him. And as far as I'm concerned, an anemic performance by that offense. Skip, they didn't do anything. Their defense set up every point they had for them last night. Well, scored one touchdown, and the field goal, the defense put you in position for that. Their offense did nothing last night. And the one time they did do something about to finish off a 90-yard drive, that play happens. So, that was the only thing they did effective all night. And that was my problem. Okay, I do not blame Megatron at all for that play because he's trying to make a hero play. He sees the goal line. He's got the ball in his left hand. He didn't extend it. But he's starting to. He's starting to extend to get the ball to the goal line, and he gets blindsided. He didn't see Cam come from his back blind side to knock the ball out. Skip, you got time. You got time. Okay, it's not like this is the last minute game. It's a minute 51 left. You got time, and if you protect the ball, especially against Seattle, they're piranhas. They are piranhas. They go after it. They didn't have one sack last night. Not one sack, Skip, and their defense was still hellacious. This is who they are. They're piranhas. They're all over you. You have to protect that football. Okay, back to the Jim Caldwell issue. Should he have known? It sounded to me like in Pete Carroll's post-game press conference, he did not know the rule. It's possible because this is obscure. I've been watching this game for a long time, covering it for a long time. I can't ever remember this rule coming into play like that. So it's also possible that Jim Caldwell just wasn't aware of the rule. That's fine. That's fine. It's also forgivable, but let's be clear. Skip Bayless is a journalist and a pundit and a commentator. This is Jim Caldwell is the head coach. That's your job. Oh, I know. Don't get me wrong. I understand it. It's forgivable because it's an obscure play. You don't see that very often. Okay. Nevertheless, the great ones know. The great ones would know. All right. Just to differentiate for our viewers. And I'm not saying I don't know, because I don't know if Caldwell doesn't know or not. Okay, no, I don't either. But the only time I ever see this kind of rule come into play is usually when a punter muffs the snap near the goal line and it goes back in the end zone. Right. And you see the punter run after the ball. He doesn't bat it. He just kicks it out of bounds for a safety. Right? Yes. Go ahead. But here's the flip side. That is even more of a reason why you should know the rule. Because if it's applicable to to a punter, for example, or a kicker, then in some way, shape, form, or fashion, it may be applicable to this.
Okay, but here's the nuance.
You got to know that.
Okay, it's the punter's ball. He's in possession of the ball. It's your ball on offense, and you're going to punt it, and it's still in his possession, and he kicks it out the back end of the end zone, and it's a 2-point safety. Now, again, Jerry Austin was asked after the game, our ex-ref analyst on ESPN, okay, why doesn't a safety also carry the 5-yard penalty? Because it should be a penalty plus a safety. And I think if I understood Jerry right, that it's already penalty enough. You're going to lose 2 points, and you're going to have to punt the ball as a kickoff back to the other team. Okay, remember, in this case, it was different because it's nobody's ball. It's a loose football. It's actually Detroit's ball, and you're knocking it. It's still in Detroit's possession, and then the defense knocks it out of bounds. Right. So that's a different spin on the.
Yeah, it's slightly different, but remember, you said it's a live ball. So if it's a live ball, then it's anybody's. Okay. It's anybody's.
The last in the possession of Detroit. So the defense doesn't want anybody to recover it, so you just knock it out of bounds so that you end the play with a touchback, which would go out to the 20-yard line, which it did, as opposed to having to fall on the ball and control the ball in the end zone, which the rule forces you to do. You can't just knock it or kick it or whatever you want to do to get it out of bounds. You have to possess the ball in the end zone for you to take it back out to the 20. And this is too easy. And I know he didn't punch the ball out of bounds. He just patty caked the ball out of bounds, and maybe that fooled the referee boy, that wasn't too blatant or egregious.
It was blatant.
Okay, but it is blatant. It is. You saved yourself having to recover the football.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bottom line, it was a bad call, and Seattle got lucky.
It was a bad day.
Got lucky.
Seattle got lucky, but Cam Chancellor, that wasn't a lucky play.
No, we're going to get into that right now. So the Seahawks are now 2-2, and as Stephen A. just mentioned, Seattle is not allowed a touchdown in their last 18 regular season quarters with Cam Chancellor on the field. Stephen A., going into the season, you had Seattle as your Super Bowl pick. Now, through 4 games, has your opinion changed at all seeing this team?
Well, it hasn't changed, but I'm not as resolute in that opinion as I was at the beginning of this season. And the reason why is because of their offense. I picked this team to win the Super Bowl championship for 2 reasons. That elite defense, the Legion of Boom, and all its supplementary parts, the defensive line and so on and so forth. Also, their motivation, because no matter how motivated the New England Patriots are due to Deflategate, and the whole fiasco that entailed, the bottom line is they stand here today as the reigning, defending Super Bowl champions. And the Seattle Seahawks sit here today as a team who believes it was theirs, and their head coach gave it away by not giving the ball a beast mode a half yard away from the goal line. It is that simple. So I believe the combination of how elite their defense is, Skip, and how motivated they are to resurrect themselves and to make amends for what transpired, basically taking back what they believe belongs to them. The Seattle Seahawks believe they should be standing here right now as the reigning 2-time defending Super Bowl champions, okay? And they believe that it was they gave that away. So they believe it's theirs. That is the reason I picked them. The fact that you got this offense with Jimmy Graham, which I believe
that experiment is not working.
Is he a Seahawk now or not?
Yes.
Listen,
does he dress?
This guy had he had 4 catches for 29 yards last night. I'm just saying that it's so anemic, it's so pedestrian, it's so blah blah. I can't believe it. Now, in defense, Detroit was all over Russell Wilson. I mean, he was running for his life most of the game. They sacked him 6 times. I can't even count how many times they pressured him. They were all over him, and if it wasn't for his elusivity, that's what Clay Matthews meant when he told Colin Kaepernick, "You are no Russell Wilson," because you got to remember, Kaepernick is more like RG3, the old RG3, in terms of he could fly north and south.
That is true.
He can't juke you the way that Russell Wilson is capable of juking you. So that's probably what Clay Matthews meant. And it definitely highlighted itself because they were all over Russell Wilson last night, okay? And he could barely breathe. But I'm still looking at them. And again,
and no
Marshawn Beast Mode, he didn't play last night, so we understand that. I'm just looking at this offense, and I'm like, my God, what has happened to y'all? They can't win the Super Bowl with their offense doing as little as they did last night. Granted, Beast Mode didn't play, but they cannot do as much as they did last night and win the Super Bowl. They're still my pick. But their offense has got to play better because this defense is a Super Bowl caliber defense.
No question.
And their motivation is Super Bowl caliber motivation. But their offense has to join the party, and that's not happening yet.
I'm with you. I don't want to go in too hard on that offense because there was no Marshall.
That's right.
But in a showcase Monday Night Football game, you scored 13 at home, and you allowed Matt Stafford, who hadn't been able to do squat against your defense, to drive almost 91 yards with, 6:23 remaining.
That's right.
That's a long drive, and you gave up a big play to Golden Tate and one to the expatriate Tim Wright right down the seam, and Cam said, they fooled me with that one. I didn't see that one coming on tape. Okay, but you get it down to within striking distance, and from the 11-yard line, you hit Calvin Johnson, and it looked like, for all the world, he was about to score, and you were about to be in big trouble, even though there was time. There had been 1:45 left for Russell Wilson. Now, is that on the defense? A little bit. I saw a little crack in the foundation there that you gave that up at home in front of that crowd.
Right.
But back to Russell Wilson. The whole offense revolves around a little guy, and I don't usually say little guy, but he's a little guy by NFL standards. He's, what is he, about 5'11", 5'10 and a half?
Standards, sure. One of the shortest.
And Stephen A., to your point, his quickness and his downfield speed is staggering to me. He looks quicker than ever. Last night he did, because he had that one great escape in the first half. No one can do what he's been doing on escape plays and then able to throw on the run, running the wrong way. He's running to his left and throws a big completion. But it's a high wire act. And he fumbled twice that hurt them badly. They lost the turnover battle 3-1 and still won the game at home. That's pretty great. And yet, Russell Wilson, if you force him to stand there in that pocket at his diminutive size, he can't see it, and he's not consistently accurate from the pocket. He's, to my eye, he is below average as a pure pocket passer. But if he gets outside, he is absolutely lethal as I've ever seen of anybody outside. He's what Johnny Manziel hopes he can one day become, because he's doing better than, he's Russell football. That's who he is, because he's making plays. And at one point, Gruden said last night, boy, he better not keep doing this, because at some point it's going to catch up with him. But he keeps pulling it off, and I got to give it to him.
It's interesting. He does keep pulling it. You know what? As I watched Russell Wilson last night, you know what I said to myself? A 3-4 defense is the best way to go against him. Let me explain why. It's almost best that you don't have a pass rush.
You don't need
that
to.
You just keep him in the pocket.
Don't let him out.
Just don't let him out of the pocket. That's all. That's it. Because the more people you send, if he somehow is able to escape, because you're trying to put forth a vicious pass rush, he's gonna eat you up. Because he has that elusivity factor working in his favor. And again, once he gets out of the pocket, he's lethal. But even if he has time, if you make him stand in the pocket and there are bodies in front of him to impede his vision, it obviously affects him like it would affect anybody else who's relatively short inside that pocket. To me, that's the best way to neutralize him. And and this is why Jimmy Graham and Lockett, it doesn't make much sense right now. They're both huge targets. So when all else fails, particularly with a quarterback like Russell Wilson, because of his diminutive style of size, you can throw it up sometimes. And just throw it in the vicinity. And they should be able to go and get it for you. The fact that none of that is happening is incredibly alarming to me. This offense has become a huge question mark. I can't believe it's going to stay this way, because you got enough weapons in Lockett and Graham with beast mode. The offensive line plays, even though they gave up a lot yesterday, they can play better, and I believe they will play better. And Russell Wilson obviously can be evasive, but they're going to have to do that to capture a Super Bowl championship. They're going to have to do that to beat Green Bay. They're going to have to do that to beat Arizona.
Right now, they're asking a whole lot of little Russell Wilson to make a couple plays a game that's going to win the game 13-10.
So, Stephen A., you have him going to the Super Bowl, not as strong on it. Skip, you say not so much.
Well, you know who I picked.
Oh yeah.
That was Cowboys.
Oh yeah.
I'm hanging in,
Some
but it's going to
things
be a long
happen.
road.
Some
Yes.
happen with that team.
Yeah.
All right, that's a whole other story though.
We're not going to give up, and we're not going to give in. We're going to continue to fight, and we got to learn how to compete. We don't know how to compete yet, and it's all about pride. You have to have pride in yourself, and it's a very competitive sport. This is a game of life, but you got to know when things aren't going right, that someone has to step up, and that's what we're not getting right now.
Texas is now 1-4 this season, the team's worst record through 5 games since 1956, a very long time ago. Clearly, this isn't what Longhorn fans are accustomed to. Stephen A., what should Texas do?
Well, Texas should wait until the season's over, and then they should replace Charlie Strong.
Wow.
But I want to make sure I clarify my comments because I think people are misconstruing what I'm saying. And I was talking to Mike and Mike yesterday, and I called in about it. In no way am I questioning the football acumen or the coaching ability of Charlie Strong. I am just saying that the odds are stacked against him. Look at the handwriting on the wall and understand when it's your time to go. That's all I mean by this. If Texas was a place where they were not used to success, where there was patience, where there was a long-term plan, I've got nothing to say. This is par for the course. Look at what Charlie Strong had to come in there and do. He had to get rid of like 9 or 10 different players because they were bad guys in the locker room. You know, they were leadership issues. They were Matt Brown lovers. They were guys that wanted to do things a certain way and didn't want to do things his way. And behind the coach's back were encouraging dudes to do things differently. So you had to get rid of those guys. We get all of that, okay? So you went 6-7 last year. Now, granted, Matt Brown didn't have the greatest years. 9-4, 8-5, 2 of the last 3 years, stuff like that. Had one season where he went 5-7. I think that was back in 2010, if I remember correctly. But prior to that, it was religiously 10 and 11 win seasons. At one time, it was 13-1 national title, championship game appearance. I am simply saying that even though there was time for a change, and Charlie Strong seemed like the good candidate, here's where you run into a problem. You were not only 6-7 last year, but you get blown out by TCU. Your only victory came, who was that again? Rice. It was Rice, right? That was about it. Nobody else did they beat. And then I'm looking at it and I'm saying, well, wait a minute here. And this is where it really hit me. When you talk about their ranking in terms of recruiting, they're getting out recruited by Texas A&M, of course, TCU, Baylor, Houston. The University of Houston is outranking them in recruiting. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Texas.
But he hasn't been given a 4-year recruiting cycle.
Wait a minute. This is Texas. Let me use, because I got some relatives in Texas. Let me use my southern drawl here. Texas. This is what we're talking about. Oil money.
You got to work on that, New Yorker.
We have to work on it. We have to work on it. How do? Okay. Here's the deal. I love the folks in Texas. I'm not being derogatory here. I'm saying to you, it's Houston. We're talking oil money. We're talking Texas. We're talking Austin, Texas. We're talking the Texas Longhorns. And you're being out-recruited by Houston? What I'm saying to you is this. This ain't about Charlie Strong, the competent coach. I believe in this man. I believe under better circumstances he should stay. But the AD who hired him obviously hired him against the wishes of a bunch of boosters, alumni members, etc. They're coming out now and publicly declaring they support Charlie Strong. But you know this better than me. Behind their back, with all of these struggles going on, they want that man out of there. They just don't want to look like a bad guy. Nobody's a fool here. We can see the handwriting on the wall. So my point was, not only is that going on, not only is your number one supporter, the AD, going, but on top of it all, you're looking bad because with all of these first-class facilities and the resources that you have, which are second to none, you are getting out-recruited by all of these other universities in Texas? That is a problem. And I'm saying, see the handwriting on the wall? They ain't going to support you, Charlie Strong. I don't care what they say. Get the hell out of there. Get out of there quick, fast, in a hurry. Go to Miami. And not only that, this is what they're going to use, Skip. You tell me this because you know, listen, I know college football because of you, my man. Come on now. You the one that got me started watching it religiously. That's right. Look at what Mac McElwain is doing at Florida. Man's undefeated. He is flat out balling, okay?
I think that cupboard was not there when he took over.
That's right.
It was full.
And look at Windham in Utah. I mean, look at what they're doing. They're number 5th ranked team in the nation. And Charlie Strong, 1-4.
Okay.
Winless in a
Quick question. I got to acknowledge the obvious elephant in our living room.
Sure.
As you often remind me, you are a black man, and you're talking about one of the few black head coaches in college football, and you're saying after a year and not even a half, he's got to be gone.
I'm trying to tell you right now. I keep trying to tell America, folks, don't listen to me.
Okay.
I'm a fair-minded dude.
Yes, you are.
Listen, I'm the guy that sat there and said Lovie Smith don't need to be in Chicago. I didn't say he needed to not be a head coach. I said he needed to be out of Chicago.
And Marvin Lewis, you said,
come on now, 12 years, you can't win a playoff game.
Okay.
I'm going to call what it is.
Thank you.
But I look at Charlie Strong. I think Charlie Strong should be a head coach in Miami. I think he should be a head coach in various other institutions. I'm just saying, Texas, look at the handwriting on the wall, Charlie. They're going to get rid of you, bro. No, they owe him a bunch of money now. They're going to have to give Dolan about 15, at least 15 million from what I heard. Not to mention his assistants. Man, they can write that thing off. They can sit there and pay you and spread it out a few years. But look at the handwriting on the wall, Charlie. They're going to get rid of you. Get out as fast as you can. It's a bad situation for him. That's what I mean. I'm not saying, be fired because you can't coach. I'm saying he needs to go because they never wanted him there to begin with. And the struggles they're not going to stand by. And now you got freshmen sitting up there texting in the middle of a game about how, whether or not he should transfer. Look, that's happening because, guys, they're imploding. And you know when you implode, Skip? When you know that your head coach doesn't have the support. Because if he did, you would toe the line. You're not towing the line because you know there are whispers out there about how people don't want.
Also reports of internal dissension. Yes. The freshman class going back and forth with the upper class.
That's right.
A lot of friction there.
And by the way, Charlie Strong should take over the defense because that's his signature anyway. Nobody knows the defense better than him.
Before I get into my answer, that's the only really bad sign here.
That's right.
Charlie Strong can coach the heck out of defense because he did it at Florida, he did it at Louisville, and he did it as a coordinator and a head coach.
That's right.
And then I'm looking at, wait a second, Charlie, on national TV early on, you give up 38 at Notre Dame.
Yep.
Then you give up 45 at home to Cal, and then you give up 30 at home to Oklahoma State, and then you give up 41 at TCU.
And by the way, everybody was acting like that was such a big deal at how they lost to Cal because the extra point was missed. My thing was, what the hell are you doing giving up 45 points?
45 at home. Now that Jared Goff can play. We'll get into him later.
45 though.
Okay. Let me just declare myself here because obviously I was born and raised a University of Oklahoma fan. They play this weekend in the Cotton Bowl, arch rival.
Ranked in the nation.
And I was taught at an early age to hate everything Texas, University of Texas. So that is mitigated by the fact we have twice had Charlie Strong sit in the seat on this show. And you know what?
Good man.
I clicked with him. I like the heck out of him.
I like him too.
And so maybe I've lost some objectivity that way. Mm-hmm. But I do think he deserves the rest of this year.
Yeah.
This is just me. I think he even deserves next year. And I know the signs are horrible here. And remember, they still have to play my Sooners, and they are now 17-point underdogs at the Cotton Bowl. Then they have to go to West Virginia. Listen, West Virginia is pretty good. And then they end up having to go to Baylor, which has been obliterating people. So it could get worse. And maybe some of those major donors who were reportedly yesterday still on Charlie's side, maybe they'll turn on him. They could turn on if Texas loses 41 to whatever it was to TCU, 41 to 10 to Oklahoma, we might get a different story from the major donors.
But let me be very, very clear. I'm not saying that Charlie Strong should be fired right now, shouldn't be allowed to complete the season. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to have a long-term opportunity to build this program. What I'm saying is the struggles that he's having at this particular university, which ain't trying to rebuild, which ain't trying to wait, which ain't trying to have a long-term plan, and you combine it with the fact that you in Texas, and they didn't want you there to begin with.
It's more the situation.
It's the situation. Look, Charlie Strong, see the handwriting on the wall and get the hell out of there.
All right.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, are you blaming Texas more than Charlie Strong?
Well, I'm blaming them from the perspective that I think that there were whispers from the time he got there that they didn't want him there. When you combine that with the changes that he ultimately had to make, where he had to be and he spoke very highly of Mac Brown, and we all think highly of Mac Brown. But the bottom line is he had to be sort of the anti-Mac Brown. Do you see who Mac Brown is? Have you met a nicer guy? I mean, my God, he's just a sweetheart of a guy.
Yep.
Well, that's not Charlie Strong.
Nope.
He's not a bad guy.
No,
Charlie Strong is a good
tough guy.
But he's a tough guy. He's a disciplinarian.
Hey.
Well, who's going to understand that transition slower than kids? Kids are going to be, I'm not used to this. I didn't come here for this. I came here for Mac Brown. I didn't come here for this. So it's a struggle for them.
Yep.
And I'm like, look, you don't have the time. Even though you have the resources, you're surrounded by people who really want you to fail. And there are great opportunities for you elsewhere. Because no matter how much, even if you win in Texas, when you're surrounded by people who don't want you around, well, you take it when the opportunity is just so great until something just as great, if not greater, comes.
Okay. All right.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay. He did get one huge break. The AD who hired him, Steve Patterson, had alienated so many of the major donors that he got fired after just 2 years.
That's right.
And it was such a PR nightmare for that school that I think it would look even worse if then at the end of this year you remove Charlie Strong. So I think he has a little PR cachet just because that guy made such a mess of the athletic department.
I don't believe Charlie Strong has any PR cachet in Texas.
Well, it's by default.
And you know this better than me. All that matters at Texas is Texas.
Okay.
They don't care how the outside world feels.
Okay.
Football country.
That's who they are.
Last quick point, being totally objective. Charlie Strong did one thing in in-game strategy that really did rankle, I'm sure, a lot of Texas fans. And that was in their first conference game at home against Oklahoma State, who's a pretty good football team. They had them on the ropes. That's why. Remember, they had Cal and Oklahoma State on the ropes. Those are two pretty good teams, so let's give him that. Even though you're giving up a lot of points, you're also, because the young quarterback, Gerard Hurd, is pretty good. I like him. He's not a good thrower, but he can, man, you talk about Russell Wilson. This kid's got Russell Wilson all over him. Okay? So you're in the game against Oklahoma State, maybe in control of the game. I watched the whole game. Oklahoma State has the football and is driving for the tying field goal, and Charlie Strong got a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for arguing with the ref and set up the tying field goal. See, that's the kind of thing under this kind of stressful pressure. You cannot do that.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
All
Just the latest example of what I'm saying.
All right.
He just needs to go elsewhere. I'm not questioning his coaching ability and whether or not he deserves to be a head coach. I know he does. Okay. He just don't need to be there.
Okay. Well, I hope Shaka Smart in basketball. I hope he gets off to a better start.
I was getting ready to say that. There's even more pressure on Shaka Smart because of the whole Charlie Strong situation. But I have no doubt Shaka Smart gonna tear it up. Shaka Smart gonna do his thing. All you need is basketball. It ain't football. All you need is two players, and Shaka Smart will get them at the university.
Well, all you need to do is press like crazy. They will press.
Shaka Smart is gonna do a hell of a job for that basketball program. You mark my word.
He's legit. We'll all be watching 11 a.m. on ABC, Texas, Oklahoma, the Red River Rivalry. The November issue of Men's Fitness Australia features Ronda Rousey. She's the first woman to grace the cover, and the undefeated UFC champion is going to join us tomorrow right here in studio. Can't wait for that, so you don't want to miss First Take. She will be here with us. We reported yesterday that Miami fired their head coach Joe Philbin. Now it's Ryan Tannehill that is feeling the heat. According to multiple reports, Philbin told the Dolphins practice squad players to go easy on Tannehill so the quarterback could get some of his confidence back. Reportedly, Tannehill was throwing so many interceptions in practice that he was frustrated to the point where he would talk trash to certain practice squad players. After they would pick him off, quote, listen to this, enjoy your practice squad paycheck, enjoy your practice squad trophy. If that is true, just wow. Stephen A., your reaction?
The operative sentence is, if that is true. Because we don't know.
Yep.
If that is true, Tannehill has lost his team. Because that is as low class as it gets. If that is true, the only reason Tannehill didn't get punched in his face is because guys were on a practice squad and they want a chance to be in the NFL. And obviously, you saw what happened with the Jets.
Or the coach had instructed them to take it easy on the starting quarterback.
Well, keep in mind, Skip, that according to the reports, once the coach had instructed them to take it easy on Tannehill, what they did was stop running altogether whenever he snapped the ball. They showed no respect for him. You're the starting quarterback, paid $95 million, $45 million in guarantees, and practice squad players have to take it easy on you. How in God's name can you be a leader? I mean, that's worse than anything I can imagine with Jay Cutler. I mean, let me apologize.
And for you to say that,
I never even heard that about.
Did you say
let you apologize? I have to apologize to Jay Cutler because I never even heard anything that bad about him. I never even heard anything that bad about him. We're the practice squad has to take it easy on you, and they're so annoyed and disgusted with the human being that you've revealed yourself to be that in protest as practice players, they sat up there and said, we just gonna let them throw the pass because we can't win. We damned if we do, we damned if we don't. We get up in them, the coach gonna protect them. We intercept them, the coach gonna protect them. Okay, we take a light on him. We ain't accomplishing anything for ourselves. So why bother? That is the epitome of losing your team. I mean, that incident alone warrants Joe Philbin being dismissed as head coach of the Miami Dolphins. And I take no pleasure in that. I don't want this man fired and having to lose the ability to provide for his family. I hope that he lands another job as a coordinator tomorrow. He's just not head coaching material to me. He's a coordinator. So with that being said, let's be clear about something here. The real issue is Tannehill. The real issue is the fact that practice players are picking you off. The real issue is that you kids, and you lost to the Jaguars, okay? And obviously you just lost to the Jets, okay? You're not having a good season. You're 1-3. You got wiped out by the Bills. You got wiped out by the Bills at home with Warren Buffett in attendance with your owner Stephen Ross, okay? I mean, you were so bad that Warren Buffett wouldn't give you stock options. That's how bad Ryan Tannehill and the Miami Dolphins were that day. I mean, please. So when you look at it from that perspective, here's the bottom line. This new guy, this was a Dan Cunningham, is that his name?
Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell, right? I gotta admit to you, Skip, he's just a tight ends coach. And in one press conference with him, I saw more in 3+ years with Joe Philbin.
I'm with you.
And I looked at him and I said to myself, well, he's not going to have a problem getting in anybody's face.
Right?
I mean, do you see how massive this dude was? I was sitting there saying, are you sure he ain't playing? Are you sure he ain't playing?
He was a player.
He looks like he can play right now. That's a big boy. That's a big boy. So I'm looking at it from the perspective of, this is the kind of guy that can get in a dude's face. Let's go. This is what you need to do. This is your job. If I'm him, I'm calling Ndamukong Suh and the crew up in there today. What do y'all want to do? And Ndamukong, you were the man on Detroit's defense. What did y'all do in Detroit? What is it that you want to apply here? Offensively, I'm looking at Tannehill. You better man up, because I'm going to send these cats after you. And it ain't just a practice squad. It's going to be the first teamers, because that's what you got to go through on this NFL level. Did you say that to these boys? Did you say that to them? Money or no money, you're going to apologize right now. Because if you don't, I'm going to send them after you like a pack of wolves. Deal with it. They ain't playing no games. It's football. Every Sunday, okay, because we going to save money, because we damn sure don't expect to see the Dolphins on Monday Night Football. I haven't looked at the Monday night schedule in the last week or so I don't remember. But I don't expect to see the Miami Dolphins on Monday Night Football with their mediocre self. Walking piece of mediocrity that they are.
I wouldn't give them mediocrity.
Right? Listen, I'm saying, you Dan Campbell, you're going to roll up on Tannehill, because that's just bougie, it's uppity, it's elitist, and it just speaks to, you don't say that to cats.
Okay, what if you're the new interim coach, looking like you could still play, and you roll up on him and get in his face, and you completely wreck what's left of his confidence?
Well, I'm not saying that you disrespect him. I'm saying that you highlight that he has no right to be disrespectful to other people. Now, if you can't do that, you ain't head coach material. It's just that simple. If you can't do that, if you can't remind somebody that you're supposed to respect your teammates and you ain't supposed to belittle them like that, then you know what? I'm going to send them at you like a pack of wolves, because it's what you got to deal with on Sundays. What you getting a break here for?
You know, I must remind everyone, we got thrown this story on the fly as it broke yesterday, and so we were off the top of our heads. I had forgotten that the interim coach that Philbin replaced was none other than Todd Bowles.
That's right.
Are you kidding me?
And the finalist was Mike McCoy for the Chargers. So he takes his team to the playoffs his first year in San Diego. And Todd Bowles, even though we like Todd Bowles a lot and we appreciate the job that he's doing, it's only 4 games in.
I understand.
McCoy took the Chargers to the playoffs.
I'm betting on Todd Bowles.
So I'm
betting on him.
So am I.
Yep. Okay, so back to the story. Look, I don't want to beat this to death. I've been on record before Tannehill's draft. I just never loved him for exactly this reason. I watched him a lot in college, and he never had consistently confident body language. His teammates never consistently responded to him as the driving force of the football team. He never looked like he really believed he was a quarterback. Remember, he was a receiver for a while in college, and he always looked like a talented receiver playing quarterback to me. He's got skills, we know that. He's not terrible, he's not a bust, he's just not that guy. And you're betting on that guy, and I told you yesterday, it's going to be hard to fix the Dolphins until you fix him, and unless you can fix him, I don't think he's that fixable, given all this. Well, so, okay, then where do you go? And let me do this about Stephen Ross. You've read a lot about him. I'm talking about South Beach, talking about wealth. He's an A-lister, right? He wants to have A-lister celebrities in his box during games. But why don't you hire an A-list coach? Because how do you pick Joe Philbin, the offensive coordinator at Green Bay who didn't even call plays? How do you do that? Because he's a nice guy, because he's impressive when you talk to him, because he comes across as a guy I could get along with? Well, why wouldn't he supposedly flirted with Harbaugh? I don't know what went on. He denied it, but whatever. But why don't you go get a big guy? You could afford it, go get a big guy, some big name. I don't know who it would be, but start over with somebody who will turn everybody's heads in South Beach, because it's hard to turn heads in South Beach because there's a lot of distractions, as you always point out, right? Yeah. Okay, all right. Well, that's what I'm saying. So, Joe Philbin? Are you kidding? Stephen Ross hired Joe Philbin?
I ain't gonna lie to you. Those one of those rare cases where looks ain't deceiving at all. What you saw was what you got. To be honest with you, with Joe Philbin, let's just call it what it is. I'll leave it at that. What I will tell you is that I look at a guy like Dan Campbell. He looks like a football guy.
The press conference was so telling, too.
Well, I mean, he looks like a football guy, and he's going to tell you what needs to be done. And let's give him a chance and see what he does. But clearly, Philbin wasn't the guy. When you look at a guy like Tannehill, here's the reality. He's only completing 56% of his passes. Now, they don't have much of a running game. That's the bottom line. They got one of the worst running games in football. There's no question about that. They got the 30th ranked offense. He's been sacked 10 times. We ain't even counting how many times he's been hit. So when we look at it from that perspective, when you hear this kind of stuff, you literally have to wonder. You're not just playing for the coach and for the team and for yourselves. Yep. You're also playing to help the quarterback. And when you have an internal, subtle desire to see the quarterback fall flat on his face, that doesn't help your franchise. So somebody has to address, if there is any truth to this report, somebody has to confront Tannehill. And that has to be addressed. Those are the two things. Tannehill has to be addressed, and the defense, I don't mean literally, of course, but figuratively speaking, the defense has to be handed over to Ndamukong Suh, who does have a rep that he brought from Detroit.
And you get in Suh's face if you're Campbell.
Well, I wouldn't go that far because it is Ndamukong Suh. That is a massive.
You can talk to him.
I don't even know. You can talk to him, but you can ask. Yes, and he's not the kind of dude you can tell. That's a massive boy. But what you can do is say this. When you were in Detroit, y'all had a top-rated defense. Tell me what you did. Yep. Tell me what you think based on our personnel we should do. And you know what I'd do? At least the first week, I'd listen to Ndamukong Suh. Whoever's running the defense, come here. Listen to this dude right here. What you say?
The mayor down there.
What you say? I am the mayor.
He's got the key.
Yes, I got the key to the city. But what I'm saying to you is this. That's what you need to do with Ndamukong Suh. Come here.
Okay.
You need to listen to him. Whatever he say, just try it. Just try. Let's appease the big boy. Because when he ain't right, what is right? You don't want. It's one thing for him to be mad against opponents. For him to be mad internally, that'll make life very, very difficult. Because what you gonna do about him? You can't get security to do anything about the Ndamukong Suh.
No.
There just, hey, what's wrong with trying? What you need? Do you need anything in Can I get you a cup of coffee?
Yeah.
Do you like Starbucks? You want a vanilla latte, small or large? What do you want?
I don't know if I go that far.
What can I do for you? That's what I would be doing with Ndamukong Suh.
The three key words, though, which you mentioned, if it's true. Monday, December 14th, guys, they are on Monday Night Football.
Really?
The Giants come to town.
Really?
I wouldn't mind being in that part.
Would
you guys want to go on the road for that?
You know what? I might go. Ray Lewis, Trent Dilfer, Steve Young, they have invited me. The South Beach, Monday Night Football. That don't sound like a bad option. I'm just saying.
Meanwhile, CC Sabathia said in a statement Monday that he will check into rehab for an alcohol problem and will miss the entire postseason, and the Yankees are standing right by him.
I'm probably more proud of the inner strength that he showed yesterday than any day that I've had him as a manager, and he did the right thing.
It's a very courageous thing to do. We play for CC now, and CC's gone to the mat for us many, many times, and I know me personally and a lot of us in here, we wouldn't have a ring if it wasn't for CC. So now we go to the mat for him.
Stephen A., how surprised were you about Sabathia entering rehab right now?
I was stunned, to be quite honest with you, but the first order of business I want to say, and I don't, this is not about CC. I don't want to come across as insensitive, but I can't stand when I see statements like A-Rod just made, we play for CC now. Because, see, if you go out tonight against the Houston Astros and you strike out 4 times, what am I supposed to think of you at that moment in time? See what I'm saying?
And by the way, that has high possibility.
It has high possibility against this guy, Keuchel. I mean, come on, A-Rod. I respect where he's coming from, but now they're going to watch it. And if you stink up the joint, did you play for CC then? That's just,
It's just vintage A-Rod.
Just drives me crazy when they do that, because now I'm praying he don't strike out. See what I'm saying? Anyway, back to CC. I was shocked because of the timing.
Yeah.
I was shocked because the playoffs are about to begin, and my Yankees are in the postseason. And he went from obviously not expected to play tonight, but if they win tonight and they go up against the Royals in the ALDS, likelihood is that he would have been able to participate in that. Having said all of that, I applaud his decision. He did the right thing for himself. He did the right thing for his family. And I'm not an expert on alcoholism, okay? My thing is what I've been associated with in terms of people in my family, friends, etc. They've had drug issues, not alcohol issues. Thank God not my immediate family, but you know what I'm saying. I think that when it comes to CC, it was stunning, but I applaud him. And more importantly than anything else, you support him. Yeah. CC's a good man. I've known CC for a long time. We're not friends or anything like that. I've hung out with him on a few occasions. Because everybody come through 40-40, and I want to, that's my spot. I love them brothers over there, and obviously he's been over there because Jay-Z and Juan Perez and all of these guys, they're incredible friends and supporters of his as well. They should be. This is a real difficult time for him to reach the conclusion that he needed to check himself into there. Now, that is not something to be taken lightheartedly. He is, regardless of his affable personality, the fact that he's personable and he can talk to anybody, that he's kind, that he's great. He's a great person. He's a high-end competitor. He's a champion. He's a Cy Young Award winner. He's all of these things. He's one of the best people you can find in professional sports, just as a great and decent human being. Yep. And he's a high-end competitor. There is no way on earth that he would have gone into Joe Girardi's office and said, I need help at this moment in time, unless he felt that he had hit rock bottom. Yep. And he was a detriment to the team, himself, and his family. So that says to me that things must have gotten really, really bad in order for him to get to this point. And I think this is one of those times where, as folks in the media, whatever, we need to step back, and as opposed to being judgmental or, trying to cast aspersions or doing anything else, we need to step back touch our humanity and recognize this man needs all the support in the world that he can get from all of us. And our prayers are with him and his family.
Amen to that. Here's why this was so shocking to me. I first met CC 11 years ago. We've had him on the show numbers of times. And from what I know about baseball, he is as popular and as highly respected as any player in the entire sport. Now, that's a mouthful I just said. As popular and respected as any player. Now, obviously, alcohol will pick on anybody. You know, that if you've got the bad gene in you can become alcoholic like that. We did see the one incident that surprised us, and we spoke about it on the show back in Toronto, mid-August. Remember when he had the shouting match outside the nightclub that inspired a fight as they drove away, some big brawl, Toronto. And but even then, I thought, it's just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. I'd never heard anything about CC having issues with alcohol before. So the timing of this, as you say, is so shocking because, to your point, the circumstance had to be absolutely dire. Something had to happen. There had to be one other incident we don't know about. I'm just speculating here, but something had to bring it to such a boil that he finally said, I can't go on anymore. And on the eve of the playoffs, they make this announcement. Now, it's possible that they waited a couple of days to make the announcement, hoping that it would help inspire the A-Rods in your clubhouse. I don't know, because it's just an odd timing of this, because you could also argue, well, gee, could CC have just waited a few days until at least they got past the wild card game and then see what would happen in the divisional round? I don't have any idea because we don't know enough about it. But the timing is shocking because of the figure involved in this.
There's no way CC Sabathia would have picked this time to make this decision unless the straits were dire. There is no way on earth he would do that. And I've been around him, and let's be clear about something here. Never once have I seen him inebriated.
Yeah.
Never once. Every time I've seen him in public, at a public event, or anywhere else, he has always been CC. So it's very, very shocking to learn that he even has a problem, to be quite honest.
That's correct. That's how I feel.
But I do know that he is legitimately a very, very good man, a good brother, good family man, etc. And again, our hearts are with him and our prayers are with him and his family.
Absolutely. So bottom line, how do you think, or will this at all impact your team going forward?
I don't think that it's going to have an impact on the Yankees one way or the other. They're either going to show up and play well because they lost 6 of their last 7 to end the season.
They did.
They're either going to show up and play well or they're not. I know this much. I don't want to hear CC as an excuse for losing. I promise you that. Houston Astros are lethal. Keuchel can ball. He's pitched 16 scoreless innings against the Yankees in his last 2 meetings. Got an ERA a little over 1. He has dominated the Yankees. I am very, very concerned about him. But the Yankees are one of the leading home run hitting teams, okay? And even though the Astros are as well, the Astros also strike out more than practically anybody. Yankees going to win this game tonight. They better handle their business.
And CC had, by his standards, an off year. Is that fair to say?
ERA over 4.
Yeah, he did a little better lately, but I don't know that he would have
worse.
Yeah,
but he was getting better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We wish him and his beautiful family the best. They also do a lot in the community. I want to point that out through their foundation. Joining us now is a Pro Bowl cornerback who played 12 seasons with the Chicago Bears and had 36 career interceptions. Now in his first year with the Carolina Panthers, they are 4-0. We welcome to the desk Charles Peanut Tillman. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome. You've turned around the Panthers, haven't you?
Yeah.
No, I
single-handedly. And you're repping the colors right here with a little blue.
Don't say y'all.
No.
Don't say y'all. He speaks for himself.
Dude, I did not do that.
We turned it around.
All right, we'll get into that in a minute, but first we need to react to last night. So we have to get your take. Cam Chancellor forced a Calvin Johnson fumble on the 1-yard line to pull off a Seahawks victory over the Lions last night. Here's the rule on the play. It's an illegal bat if any player bats or punches a loose ball that has touched the ground in any direction if it's in either end zone. So you can take a look at it. We have it up there on the screen. Charles, this was craziness. What is your reaction to this call?
Well, I think the football guys must like the Seattle Seahawks.
Mhm.
Correct. They seem to be
Amen.
getting all the calls. I mean, he missed the call. It happens. But I think in that moment, you got to make that call because Detroit, they needed that call to help them win that game.
So you were not okay with that referee, I'm going to call his name, Greg Wilson, sort of looking the other way, keeping his flag in his pocket.
Well, if I'm Seattle, yeah, I'm glad that he kept his whistle. I'm glad he swallowed his whistle. Now, if I'm Detroit, I want him to blow that whistle. I want you to throw that flag out. You know, it's subjective. It goes both ways.
Was it blatant enough to throw the flag on knocking the ball out of bounds?
In my opinion, yes, because based off where the back judge was, he had a clear line of sight.
Beautiful shot of it. Yeah.
And accidental as it was, you have to throw that.
Y'all finished with this subject? I just want you to make sure you get all those questions out the way.
You mean you're going to change the subject?
Yes, I am. Y'all, I just want to make sure y'all good. Y'all good with it?
Well, now, wait a second. You're not going to go on the penalty, though.
No, I'm not going to go on the penalties. I want to make sure you got all those
I got to say one other thing.
Go ahead.
Because I'm going to throw this back out.
Go ahead.
I'm calling this the bat out of hell play. Because this is going to live for a while on the NFL and with the Detroit Lions and their fans.
Mm-hmm.
So this referee, in the spur of the moment, maybe he's starting to reach, and then he decides it's not blatant enough to warrant a game-deciding call at that moment. And I'm going to throw this out again because it works psychologically in the minds of some of these referees.
Right.
Is there any tougher place to play or referee than that outdoor stadium? You've played up there.
I played there, yeah. In my opinion, every place is tough to play.
Okay.
Fan noise, the crowd,
but they
situation in the game,
they
the
break
moment,
records.
the time.
Arrowhead breaks records.
Right.
Again, can it be a little intimidating for a referee?
I'm sure it can be.
To pull a flag that would change the game in front of that crowd at that moment on a Monday night stage. I'm sure it's a little
But
bit.
how do you offset it? Does the coach step in? Like a coach like Jim Caldwell and his staff, if they're literally outspoken and demonstrative in opposing it, is that the hope?
The hope is for them to get the call. And the thing I love about Cowboys is like we're not going to use excuses. We're not going to, it's they missed the call. Hey, we should have played better. He's not letting the game, or he didn't let that one play decide the game for him. He's like, we should have did more in the game, so it didn't have to come to that point.
Gotcha.
Go ahead.
Can I change subject?
Yes.
Do I need to get a Bible and I feel like I'm finna go on trial right now.
Yeah. I just want to ask.
She's a little warm.
I know where this is going.
Oh, please, not for him.
No.
Not for him. I just want to ask you. How's it feel to be gone from Chicago?
It feels good. I like my new.
Well, why are you smiling while you're asking?
I just want to know. I just want to know.
I like my teammates.
What he's getting at is not how does it feel to be gone from Chicago. How does it feel to be gone from Jay Cutler? That's what he's getting.
I like my teammates.
Okay.
Cam is great.
Yeah.
Thomas is great. Luke is great. AJ, my team, my defense.
Refresh my memory. Refresh my memory. When you left Chicago,
right?
Obviously, you were born in Chicago.
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
When you left Chicago, you specifically said, I really want to compete for a championship.
Right.
That's right. So that's why you went to Chicago. What was wrong while you were in Chicago?
We just didn't get it done. We didn't get it done. Offensively, we had some bad games. Defensively, we had some bad games. We didn't cut it on special teams. I mean, we weren't a good team.
Let's cut to the chase. What is your view of Jay Cutler as a quarterback?
I think Jay Cutler has all the potential and all the talent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does.
You know what I'm saying? I think he has one of the greatest arms.
Mm-hmm. He does.
I think he has.
Oh, you're being quoted. You're being quoted. Go ahead.
I think he has one of the greatest arms in the NFL. It's just how consistently can you play?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might be a problem.
Stop right there. Stop right there. I'm very curious when you use the word potential. Isn't that something that's supposed to apply to a dude that's been in the league around 5 years or less, as opposed to a quarterback in his 10th year? I'm just curious. I don't know. I don't know these things. I'm just asking. I'm just curious.
Yeah. I think he has all the tangibles a great quarterback is supposed to have.
Mm-hmm. Intangibles?
Intangibles. The pocket presence, the arm strength, game-winning drives.
Mm-hmm.
It's just up to him to do those things. This is how you want to play.
I'll switch it up.
Okay.
How is life with Cam Newton compared to what you've been dealing with?
Life is good. I like Cam. I like his locker room presence, his game leadership. You know, his ability to take control of a game. Great team guy, great locker room guy. Glad he's my quarterback.
What does Cam do better than Cutler does?
I want to know. I'm curious.
I wasn't going to go there.
Well, they're two different types of guys. Okay, different styles. Yep. You know, Cam, he's he's a mobile quarterback. He'll get out. He'll do the Superman leap. He'll dive in the end zone. Jay, you know, he's a pocket guy. He's not mobile.
He can be a little mobile.
He can be a little bit mobile, but I just think they're two types of. They're different. Their style of play is completely different.
But don't you think that your team can feed off Cam more consistently than that team can feed off Jay?
I think we feed off of Cam's energy. Yeah. He has this exuberance about him. This I don't know. This energy. He's it's charisma, his charm. You know, like I think we feed off that, and we actually, you know, offense, defense, we all feed off of that. You know, and I think it's a great thing, and you know, he's playing at a high level right now.
Your diplomacy is applauded. It's marvelous.
Thank you, sir.
It's really special.
Sir.
It's really special to see.
Thank you.
But we get it. We get it. Let me get to this.
Okay.
I watched Carolina this year, and I didn't expect y'all to be 4-0. I love what I'm seeing Cam do, particularly since Kelvin Benjamin went down. How is it that y'all are 4-0 right now? Even if it's just Cam, what is the one thing that's going on with the Carolina Panthers that even you did not anticipate when you arrived there?
Team. I think we have a great team. We're guys with great culture. You know, we have a great culture within the Carolina Panthers organization, and we got good character. You know, we're a group of men that have great character, and we all count on each other. I think when you have a group like we have and you play for one another, like, trust me, I want to win a championship like anybody else, but I'm not playing for myself. I'm playing for the Thomas Davis. I'm playing for AJ Klein. I'm playing for Charles Johnson. I'm playing for Cam Newton. I'm playing for Luke. You know what I'm saying? I'm playing for those guys, and those guys are playing for me. We're playing for each other. It's not, we're not selfish.
So when you say something like that, excuse me for going on, Skip, but when you say something like that, Skip and I, just a few minutes ago, in all seriousness, we just finished discussing Ryan Tannehill and what was reported. We don't know whether it's true or not, but what was reported was that he was getting picked off by guys on a practice squad.
Right.
And he went up to them and he said to them, enjoy those practice squad checks and all of this other stuff. And obviously that caused a lot of friction on Saturday prior to their game in London against the Jets on Sunday. You just finished speaking about the importance of character. How damaging or damning can something like that be to a team moving forward? An incident like that.
Yeah, loose lips sink ships. And I think that if you're that guy, you know, you have no idea the influence that you have on others. And with a guy at the quarterback position, the leadership position, I think it's deadly if that were to happen.
Right.
I don't allegedly.
That's right. It is alleged. We do not know. We do not know.
Yeah.
All right, we have to take a break. Charles, thank you for putting up with these two.
With him.
You with him.
Yeah.
See this?
It's a little hot. You can't leave.
First of all,
you can't leave
do you have any idea how happy this brother is to be here with me?
Oh,
y'all
with
don't
you?
even know to have.
Okay. It's all about you. Oh, okay. So those Panthers are off to their first 4-0 start since 2003 and tied for the lead in the NFC South with the undefeated Falcons. However, according to ESPN's Football Power Index, Carolina is ranked the lowest of the remaining unbeatens and 15th amongst all NFL teams. So the glass half full, Charles Tillman, is that your team is undefeated.
Right.
And we know the half empty part, the worst, supposedly, of the undefeated. What's your reaction to that?
I'll take it. We don't care. We'll just keep stacking these wins. That's how we look at it. We don't make the schedule. Y'all make it. We just play them. We keep winning. We ain't got nothing.
You think it's true, though?
That we're the worst out of... No, I think, in my opinion, whatever team I'm playing on, and if we're playing good, I'll be honest with you. Right now, we're playing some good football, and we still haven't hit on all cylinders.
Okay.
So,
but obviously,
we're a great team.
You can only beat the teams on your schedule.
Right.
And you beat Jacksonville, and you beat Houston, you beat New Orleans, you beat Tampa.
Right.
Yeah, so they're all 1-3. All four of those teams are 1-3. You can't help that, but you can't make it any better either, right?
Right. And we don't pick the schedule. Y'all pick it for us. We just play them. We keep winning. Well, hey, we gonna keep winning.
Well, a legitimate question is, how good do you think this team is? In the next 4 weeks, you got Seattle coming up next, I believe.
Yes.
So, you got Green Bay 3 weeks after that. Philly and Indy might be a little bit desperate, so you never know how that could pan out. And of course, there's the Dallas Cowboys and the Atlanta Falcons on the schedule before all is said and done 2 times. So I'm just wondering, how good do y'all feel y'all really are?
We feel that we're good. The most dangerous thing that you can have is 53 guys believing one thing together. You know what I'm saying? And right now we have 53 guys believing that we are the best team in the NFL. To me, that's a dangerous thing.
It is. And every time I look up, the cornerback on the other side of you is making a Peanut Tillman play. Is that fair? Because that guy.
It's fair to say Josh Norman is making Josh Norman play.
Yeah.
He's not living in my shadows. I give him the credit. Coach Wilkes, our defensive DB coach, he's doing an amazing job of coaching Josh up. And Josh, he's taking coaching and he's making plays.
How good is he? Is he big time? Is he a Pro Bowl corner? Is he?
At the level he's going right now, yeah, I think he is. Like I said, we're only 4 games in the season. I'm not trying to jinx him or wish him any bad juju, but he's playing at a great level right now.
He is.
And playing opposite of him, I have a front row seat on the field, and I'm happy for him. I really am.
Well, I really don't have any questions about Carolina's defense. You're the number 3 ranked defense in the NFL, and the defense is always legit. A couple of years ago, they were big time. They fell off a little bit last year. Back in the mix this year. My question is all about your offense, and I mean no disrespect, because obviously the brothers can play.
Right.
But Ted Ginn is your number 1 receiver, and Greg Olsen, who's been around quite a long time and deserves a lot of props, is your number 1 target. I just find myself looking at Carolina and wondering, on offense, do they have enough horses to get it done? Y'all obviously feel otherwise. Is that because of a collective belief, or is it because it's all about that bad boy named Cam Newton?
No, it's just a collective belief that we have a next man up mentality. That's how we think. So with KB going out, he was a worklord. He was a horse for us, right? Got a lot of balls, got a lot of passes thrown to him. Great player. Had an ACL tear.
Yep.
I think Cam was forced to use other targets, use other people on offense, running backs, receivers, tight ends. I think he's dishing out the ball equally with everybody on offense, and I think that's one of the things that's helped change his game. And I'm loving what I see on offense.
How much attention are y'all paying to the Atlanta Falcons? Because they look like a completely new team. I mean, Dan Quinn has got that defense looking legit. I know y'all are preoccupied week to week with what you're doing.
Right.
But how much are y'all paying attention to what's going on in the ATL?
I'd say just a smidgen. They do look good. We just have a one game season mentality. So whoever's next up on the schedule, I think Seattle. We got a bye week this week, then we got Seattle. So right now, all the attention and focus is on Seattle.
So as a veteran leader on this football team, what was your view after what you heard inside your locker room about Cam and Hockley and what went on between the two of them?
Well, I think Cam felt some type of way about what Ed said. He voiced his opinion. Ed said otherwise. No, I didn't say that. And I don't know. I mean, there's nothing will happen after that. I hope if Ed gets another one of our games, he's able to call the game fair. And if Cam does get a hit, I hope that he'll make that call legitimately.
Did you get to talk to Cam at all directly about it?
I did not, no.
Okay.
I did not.
Well, the one thing I pay attention to, fellas, is this. First of all, Skip and myself, we believe Cam.
Right.
I looked at him, I said, I don't see a dude that's lying. What are you going to make that up for?
Right.
Where's that going to come from? I don't understand that. That's number 1. But number 2, Skip expressed a concern that because Hockley has such a reputation, he's so revered in officiating circles, he may not even have to be at the game.
Right.
Because of who he is.
Right.
And the kind of reputation he has. And the insulated environment, that culture, guys coming to his aid. That could end up working against Cam and the Carolina Panthers. Have y'all thought about that at all?
Yeah, I thought about that. hopefully it doesn't come to that because of his reputation and his celebrity, his celebrity push-up status. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. I hope thus far at this point, whoever gets our games in the future, just calm and fair, for us and the opposing team that we're playing. Hopefully we don't have to just I hope we get a good rep this week and, refs aren't coming to aid for Ed Hochul. I don't think it'll come to that, though.
Cam called him out, and we think rightfully so. But I don't know if you can remember a star calling out a referee quite like this happened.
No, if it did happen, I probably wasn't born. I don't remember. All right.
Charles, thank you so much for joining us.
Good
It sounds
you,
like you're in a good fit there. 4-0, not too shabby. And
Your health.
I'm good.
How you feeling?
100.
All right.
100%. I'm great.
Good.
All right.
I'm feeling good.
Just double check. The last couple of years has been a little rough for you.
Yes, sir. It has. God is good. I'm good, though.
Okay.
Good. So we appreciate you joining us on a bye. This was fun, and good luck against Seattle.
Thank you.
I say the same thing as when you all buried us last week, and all that it really doesn't matter what you think. It really doesn't matter what you say. And I'm hoping that nobody on our team is playing for you. I hope they're playing for each other and their team and what they want to accomplish and not what you think. Because that's not certainly what I'm doing. I'm coaching and working for our players and our team to be as good as it can be. And if that's not pleasing to somebody else, it's not pleasing to somebody else. And it's not going to be for you. The fans, yes. Because if it was up to you, we're 6 foot under already. We're dead and buried and gone. Gone.
I'm not going to lie, I love it. Nick Saban taking exception with the media after he was asked how he keeps players focused with the changing perception of the Tide week to week. Skip, was there a method to his madness in those comments?
Or was it just sheer madness?
They were amazing. I enjoyed it.
Stephen A., I know you're the biggest Nick Saban fan.
Yes, I am.
I don't want to hear a Roll Tide yet. Just save it.
Do I have to wait?
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Roll Tide!
Okay, we're good now. We're good now. We're official.
Stop,
You
Georgia.
got that one now.
Stop them.
No
One of
question.
us has some objectivity when it comes to Nick Saban.
Got it.
And I'm going to assume there's some method to the madness because clearly he is trying to unite his team as us against your world out there. All you media people, we're going to show you because we showed you at Georgia and we kicked Georgia's behind and we buried Georgia just like you thought we were already buried 6 feet under. Okay, I get all that, and that's a good way to unite a team that was struggling because of what Nick Saban did, because he started the backup quarterback against Ole Miss in a game I still believe they should have won, and I think they would have won it if they had started Jake Coker at quarterback instead of Cooper Bateman. That's just me, because he threw the offense off, they got in the hole, and they couldn't climb back out of it. And we saw what happened to Ole Miss at Florida. Okay, now back to method to madness. At some point, Nick Saban just loses it when it comes to some members of the media who just push his hot button, his hottest button. And he was clearly aiming the comments at somebody out there in the crowd. I don't know who it was, but he kept going back at this somebody. And think about the irony of what he was saying. Dare I say, the hypocrisy of what he was saying, because he's saying, you don't matter. What you say does not matter to my football team, and it definitely doesn't matter to me. But between the lines, he's saying, I read every word you wrote last week, or I heard everything you said on your radio show, or everything you said about me on television. I took it to bed with me. I slept with it. I let it get down into my soul because I couldn't wait for this opportunity on this day to shove it right back in your face. So clearly, he's taking it extremely personally, and I think that's just sheer madness. You know, there's some method, and then there's just pushing Nick's button, and somebody pushed his button, and he could not wait to shove it right back down everyone's throat, and he would not let it lay. And so if you don't care about what they're saying, why would you express such outrage over what they said last week? Is that, dare I say that about the great Nick Saban?
Yeah, dare you say
I just said it.
Yeah, I address
All hail.
Yes.
Just this. Let me get real serious and all joking aside, because in light of the subject we touched on yesterday, people are going to look at what I say about Saban and they're going to say, what's the difference? Let me express right now. When I brought up, in the interest of full disclosure, when I brought up the Kevin Durant subject yesterday, and I addressed that, I'm not addressing that anymore. I said what I had to say.
You did.
Kevin Durant is a good man. He's a good young man. He's a role model. He's a great basketball ambassador. I just think he made a mistake by personalizing something towards me, and that is what I was addressing.
Okay.
Not his right to say something about the media, not his right to express his frustration, or whatever the case may be. And for the idiots out there, you see all these.
Don't worry about it.
I'm just talking about.
It's okay.
GQ now all of a sudden is the latest, and he's threatening them or whatever. No, what I was saying is this: if you're sensitive to what people have to say. Well, I got 4 live hours on the airwaves every day. If you want to interpret that as a threat, be my guest. That's not what I'm saying. To me, that's not a threat. That's just a point in fact. Now we get to Saban. Here's the difference. Skip Bayless, when you talk about Saban, first of all, Saban didn't let you know who exactly he was talking about. That's number one. Number two, Saban has earned the right to be frustrated, because unlike somebody pointing out the obvious, as in you haven't signed a contract extension and you might be looking to go to LA or somewhere else since you haven't signed a long-term contract with the team that you're with. This is Nick Saban saying, you guys always have something to say. Despite the fact that I have 3 national titles, despite the fact that over the last 7 or 8 years or so, I've been 12-2, 14-0, 10-3, 12-1, 13-1, 11-2, 12-2, and now I'm 4-1. He's saying that no matter what, it's always gloom and doom, and the people that I have to deal with on an everyday basis from a media perspective never seems to be satisfied. Not only that, Nick Saban backed it up over a year ago when he talked about his winning percentage, and then he said, now if I compare that to you guys and your predictions and how often you've been wrong, he said some of you are lucky to even have this job because of how wrong y'all have been, how often y'all have been wrong.
Okay.
So he's pointing out that reality, and he highlighted, he said, not the fans. He's talking about the media, because sometimes the media pretends, excuse me, there are some people in the media who pretend like they're representing themselves as an extension of the fans' voice, as opposed to acknowledging, look, this ain't about the fans. This is what I think, and here's why. Nick Saban, you talk about somebody, and I ain't asking for it, but you talk about one of my pleasures. If I could sit down and just interview somebody, I ain't talking about his football team. I'm talking about him. I'm talking about his attitude toward the media. I'm talking about his attitude about everything. Oh, my goodness. You talk about heaven coming early. I wish I could sit down and talk to Nick Saban, because let me tell you something right now. Most of the time, I find his points to be very valid. He has a history and a reputation, specifically at Alabama, where some of the scrutiny that he gets is very, very undeserved. Okay. Like this kid, Jonathan Taylor, he got from Georgia that came to Alabama. He said, I don't regret, I'm not apologizing for giving the kid a chance. When he messed up, I got rid of him. But
Georgia said no.
Yeah, but I ain't Georgia. Right. Excuse me, Georgia looking for a national title. This man has 3 this decade. They ain't have one since 1980. I guarantee you they can sit there and bloviate and talk all of this nonsense they want to USA Today, filling up the back pages of USA Today. Oh, we hold a higher standard here. But I guarantee you, if they could have Nick Saban,
that's true,
and they can sit there and modify their position just a little bit to deliver 3 national championships to Athens, they would do it quicker than you could say Bulldog.
Remember,
don't get caught up in that.
Given all that Saban history you just read, we have done this topic within the last couple of weeks on this show. It has appeared over the last 3 or so years, the wheels have come off the Saban dynasty. He's been losing lots of big games.
Whoa. But he's won a share of them too.
Okay, but I'm just saying, by his standards, he hasn't been Nick Saban for about 3 years.
Because 3 times in 4 years he's won a national championship. He's not going to do it every year. Eventually you're going to lose some of those years. Now, if he became Mark Richt, and over the course of 10 to 12 to 15 years he can't win a big game to save his life, now we have a discussion. No, he's won some big games. He's lost some big games. In the midst
of lately he's lost a whole lot more than he's won.
Excuse me. No, that's
Yes,
not
it
a
is
whole
true.
lot more than
Well,
he's won.
when it comes to big games,
Excuse me.
last year they lost Ole Miss and then they got blown out by Ohio State.
Blown out by Ohio State. They lost 42-35.
Well, they were down 14 in the fourth quarter.
42-35.
It was not a game. It was not a game.
We got to go to break.
All I'm saying to you
Quicker
is
than you could say Bulldog.
Nick Saban is big time. And some of the dudes that question that deserve to be called out by him, especially when he didn't mention any names. That's all I'm saying.
Stephen A., plain and simple. Will your Yanks stay alive?
Well, I'm going with that. And
You're
I'm
kidding.
not
You're picking the Yankees?
And I'm not going to lean on extra motivation being provided by CC Sabathia. I'm not going to lean on that. You know what I'm going to lean on? This dude, Dallas Keuchel, makes me nervous. In 2 meetings against the Yankees, pitched 16 scoreless and then struck out 7 in his last
21 in 16 innings he struck out. You get that, don't you?
The dude is big time. But he's pitching on 3 days rest. I'm concerned about that for them. Got to remember, the Yankee bullpen has come to the rescue on many occasions. Last 30 games of the regular season, Houston's pitching staff had a 4.74 ERA. The final 30 games, I'm happy about that now. They hit a lot of home runs, just like the Yankees do. I am worried about their careers big time. I know that. I get that. I'm looking at the fact that they steal a lot of bases, 121 stolen bases. But guess what, Skip Bayless? The ERA, like I told you, is an issue. They also don't allow a lot of runs. I get all this stuff, but they strike out a lot. The ERA is questionable right now. Keuchel is no joke. When they're on the road, and remember, he was 15-0 at home. On the road, he was a different dude. You're going against the Yankees tonight. Look at Yankee Stadium. But you know what? Hey, man, bag of shells.
There we go.
That's the pass. These boys ain't accustomed to being in postseason action. I believe that somehow, some way, the Yankees will find a way, primarily because of their bullpen. Tanaka will hold it down, give them a couple runs, but he'll hold it down, and Patansis and Miller and those boys will come through when it counts. Yankees 5, Astros 4.
You better fear the beard tonight because Dallas Keuchel is no joke. At 20-8, he led all of baseball with 232 innings pitched. He will not have any problem on 3 days rest because he's built to pitch in 3 days rest. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of runs at home, but I think Keuchel will go the distance once again. 3-2 Astros, you're going home.
Yankees will work the lineup. They'll get him out there
Charles
by the 6.
Tillman, thank you. Ronda Rousey here tomorrow. Thanks for being with us, guys. See you in the...
Last week, Julie Carroll posted a status that read, "Just had the most delicious banana ever." It got 2 likes and 4 comments. Well, Julie Geico also wants to make a comment. What if we told you in as little as 15 minutes you could save hundreds of dollars on your car insurance by switching to Geico? With those hundreds of dollars, we bet you can find another banana equally, if not more delicious than the one you had last week. #Go Bananas. #savings.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. The Chicago Cubs and the Pittsburgh Pirates go head-to-head in the wild card. The Cubs and Pirates, presented by AutoZone. Wednesday at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN.